Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the Avonlea Chronicles, a knitting podcast. My name is Martha and I'm here to talk about all things knitting and crafting, and I have a lot to share today. We are about to start a major heat wave, so I don't have any knits on today, but I am wearing a new summer dress. I love this, but it was a little too much. Especially for church. So I've just put one of my little ruffled sleeve t-shirts underneath. The flowers today are courtesy of one of my tutoring students whose mom has a flower farm. So I got a little bouquet of flowers as an end of year gift. And new piece of artwork. A couple of weekends ago, I went to the big Shriners event in Ontario, and my dad and my brother are both Shriners. So they had like their big weekend. There was a parade, and the ladies program had a painting class. So my mom and my brother's girlfriend and we all went and we did this painting. So I've been enjoying that up here on my piano. And as you can see, I have a finished product which matches my bunting project bag. I have wanted something to go over the doorway that separates my kitchen dining room from my living room. So I made a bunting from a bunch of scraps. This is my tried and true pattern. It's free on Ravelry, SQ bunting. It says, let's make some bunting for Skein Queen's new nest. I think it was like for a project for whoever designed it, but you start at the top and work your way down to the tip. And it's fingering weight yarn, but I've knit so many buntings. So the original pattern is 35 stitches, and I've done that on 3mm needles. So I've done that and I've made a bunting, which I think I showed at one point, and that is like in storage because it's kind of too big for this space. And then all of the bunting that I made for school, which I've done 102 triangles. We have 4 strands of it in the classroom, and then I made a class set for the kids that year a couple of years ago, and then I made 2 more triangles for my tutoring students this year. So those were all on worsted weight yarn, and I think I went up a needle size or 2, and it made bigger triangles. And then these ones, I just didn't do as many stitches. I tried 25 stitches, but I still thought that was too big. So these ones start with 17 stitches. I just knew I needed an odd number of stitches, so I just did 17 stitches, and it got me the cutest little triangles. I think it took about 1 gram of yarn. I think I weighed a triangle at one point so I could weigh some of my other yarn to see if I had enough of the scraps. And I did. And this is 26 triangles. I did 25. And then I did give them a little bit of a block. And then I put them on, and then this is the last one. It's slightly bigger because it's made with like a DK or worsted weight, but it's so darling. I just decided to string it up for the podcast, and then I will put it back on my door frame. This is a little nod. It's backwards for you, I think, but I did a little nod to my beloved Ukraine with a little blue and yellow. I've done that on all of my crocheted projects, my crochet granny squares. I've always done one square in every project that's blue and yellow. So that was one of my finished projects. It was pretty quick because it didn't take that long to knit up the triangles. And then you don't have to block them. I just gave them a little bit of a soak. I laid them out for a night or two. And then I sat on the floor one evening after school in the middle of a thunderstorm, and I threaded them on the twine, hung them up, and then I made just the last one. So it's perfect. So that was one of my finished objects. And the next one is this. This is a book sleeve. It's by HG Designs Crochet. I'm just grabbing the pattern. So this is the Daydream book sleeve. There aren't too many pictures, but we did get a little inspo graphic, and I loved that she put in this pattern little things like, I'm worthy of all my dreams and goals. We've got some other little like motivational graphics and inspiration graphics here. So I thought that was so cute and fun. I can't show you everything because it's a paid for pattern, but HG Designs Crochet does a Patreon. And so every 2 months we get a pattern. So this came out and I immediately cast it on and put it on my hooks. And I had all of this like pinks and purples from my projects and from my Hayfield bonus DK yarn stash that I use for my crochet projects, just because it's nice acrylic wool that's affordable, and I really like working with it, and her projects are mostly DK. So I had like these sort of muted purples and pinks that I hadn't used before. So I used them. When you crochet this, I was going to say you knit this. You crochet this in one piece, join as you go, and make a panel of granny squares. Then you do the lining, and then you assemble. So I've lined it. I really think it's like a 3-evening project. 1 evening for the granny panel, 1 evening for the lining, and then 1 evening for assembling. So like putting the crocheted border around your granny panel, putting the crochet border around the lining, and then assembling it together and making the ties. The only thing that I found was my tension or my gauge on my lining wasn't quite right. It was a little bit smaller width-wise, and then I just continued on and sort of gave up counting rows and just went until it was long enough to match the granny panel. And then I put the border around it and crocheted them together. And then I always give it a good steam block, so I knew that it would stretch out. And then having the book in here, you know, kind of settles it out a little bit. But it's so darling. And right now, what's in it is the Resistance Knitting Club. And then one of my other books that I haven't read yet also fits. So it fits slightly bigger books as well. And obviously, if you needed something for a massive book or bigger books, you could make a bigger panel of granny squares and lining. But it turned out so cute. And I was kind of inspired by the pinks in the one that was made. So that's why I decided to do all like pinks and purples. I also hadn't used any of these colors yet in any of my crochet projects. So that was super fun. I had a little bit of pink left over from my comfort pouch and a little bit of purple, but only enough for one of these purple granny squares. So I had to make an extra or of a different color, or I would have had 2 of every color. But it turned out so cute, and I love that I can throw my paperbacks in here and keep them protected, and then throw this in my tote bag or just carry this with me for my summer reading. And I love the ties. I think they're so cute. So this was also a quick project, like 3 nights, and it was done. I don't block these. I give it a good steam block with an iron, and that's it, so that I don't have to wait for it to dry. But I also don't feel it needs a like massive wet block. So that was one of my other finished projects. Oh, I got this super cute bag charm from my brother's girlfriend. It's green, and I keep it on my Anne of Green Gables tote bag, and it's got a little butterfly charm and a little charm with a flower on it. So just thought I'd show that. And now what I'm working on is my little sampler shawl. This is turning out so cute and is super easy. This first section was a 4 pattern repeat, and then I did the eyelet section as a 4 pattern repeat, and then the third section will also be a 4 pattern repeat. So it's gonna be so easy to make. And I love how it's turning out. It's a little like asymmetrical boomerang shawl shape. So I'm just working away at it. I have a little hummingbird. I love to go, this is a hummingbird little charm. I love to go to one of our little shops, and she has a charm bar for making charm bracelets, and I like to just get, I think it's like 5 charms for $8 or $9, and I love to pick out 5 charms, and then I come home and I put them on a lobster claw clasp to use as my stitch markers or progress keepers. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm kind of doing one project at a time, and yeah, I am now going to get into some things. I've had some changes from my last podcast, and I had to wait. I was going to podcast last weekend, but yesterday was my local Fibre festival, so I decided to wait a week to have some finished projects and to see what I got at the Fibre festival. Okay. This is yarn I've already had, and I had a dedicated project for it. I was going to make the dove tank, but then I saw on Instagram a different t-shirt that is coming out or has just come out that I think this might go better with. So I'm waiting for the other pattern to come out first, and then I'm going to see what the knitting ladies think in my knitting group and get their thoughts on it first. So before I do anything with this, I'm waiting to see what the ladies say. So I've put this on hold in terms of what I'm going to do with it. Then I had this idea for a blanket, and it's inspired by my beloved country of Ukraine. So, and by artist Maria Primachenko. So this is the artwork that I have taken as like my inspiration. And this is the yarn that I got. It is a Lion Brand Mandala bonus bundle, so it's massive. I have 2 of them. This is the colorway Sasquatch, and it is 300 grams, 1,181 yards, or 1,080 meters. It's 100% acrylic, and it is a number 3 in yarn weight, so it's a light DK. I was originally thinking of doing this in a solid color, but I didn't see a solid color. And then they had like a muted brown and creamy pinky colors, or like beiges and blues. And then there was this at my, I got this at Walmart, but I kept being drawn to this. And then like I have the design ideas in my head. I know exactly what I'm doing. And so when I was looking at artwork that I could like pull as inspiration, I saw this piece, and I think like the color and the art kind of match. So I will be working on this. It's going to be a blanket. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that, although who knows, it might get pushed. It might get pushed because it is starting to get really hot here. So we'll see if I decide to work on a blanket this summer. It might have to wait, but that is what I have for one project. And then I had meant yesterday to look for a cream color to go with these 2 for what I'm going to do. I feel like it needs a cream or a white to break up the busyness of these 2 colorways, just to do like a little stripe, but I forgot to look for something, but it's okay. It also might be something that I don't get to right away, but let me know what you think. Do you think I should use a cream color to break up the sections? Okay, at the Fibre Festival, my local Fibre Festival is the Muskoka Fibre Festival, and I just lost the pattern to the floor, but I'm going to make a Musselburgh hat, and I got the colorway Fiddle Leaf on merino sock from Pine and Pearl. I was able to order this online and then say pick up at the Fibre Festival, so that was fun. Got to save on shipping, and I wasn't in immediate need of it, but this is going to be a Musselburgh hat for a Christmas present. And I've never knit a Musselburgh, but like so many people knit so many of them, and once you get started, it's mostly just knitting in the round. So that is what this is for, and I will probably start like now this week because I need to have it ready for October when I see the person, because I won't see them at Christmas. So that is what this is for. This was my main reason for going to the Fibre Festival, was to pick this up. And then the last thing is this cardigan. I showed last time all 7 skeins that I have for the granny squares, and I said that I was going to pick something for a solid color for the joining and the cuffs. So I was looking, my mom went with me, was super helpful. In my head, I kind of had like a blue-ish color, but we went to our friend Lynn at Shellridge Yarns Lynn does lots of solid colors. So we ended up going to see Lynn at her booth, and I pulled out my bag of all 7 skeins. And my mom and I started pulling colors, and then we said to Lynn, we need help. Like, I showed her the pattern. I'm like, this is what I'm making. This is the stash that I have. These are all the colors. I'm looking for something to bring it all together and be the joining color and the cuff color. So we were pulling yarn, different colors. We looked at like navy, like a darker navy and slightly lighter navy. And we tried a purple. I even pulled like a light pink and then a hot pink because there is a bit of pink in some speckles here. And then I'm trying to like hold all of them here. Then Lynn pulled out this. So this color is called raspberry, and raspberry is going to be the joining color that brings it all together. We've gone in a totally different direction, but we're like sort of pulling from the pink that's in here, and there is like some pink undertones in this color. But yeah, this raspberry color is so hard to get this all in here. This raspberry color is what's going to bring it all together. And the pattern is for DK, and all of these are fingering weight, but Lynn had this in DK. So I will hold all of these skeins double to make my granny squares, and then I only have to hold this single to do the joining and the cuff. And I got 3 skeins. The colorway is raspberry, so a nod to raspberry cordial. It couldn't be any more fitting, but I'm super excited to make my rose cardigan, and I kind of love that it's going to be totally different. Usually I'm pretty good at seeing something and then envisioning it in different colors, and I think because what I have is so similar to these colors, I was leaning towards a blue. I kind of love that we've gone in a totally different direction. So I am going to photograph all of these and then wind them up and start making granny squares. It will be the perfect project for the super hot days because granny squares are small and you don't have something big sitting on your lap. But this just will be something that I can plug away at over the summer. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. And that was my second reason for going to the Fibre Festival, was to pick a joining color for the cardigan. And then I met the person that makes the leather tags that I have that I put on all my designs. So we had a little chat. I just introduced myself, and then I also had sent a message to a yarn dyer who was looking for some test knitters and maybe to collab with some designers. So I had sent her a message a few weeks ago, and then she was at the Fibre Festival, so I just decided to introduce myself and like make a personal connection with her. So I got 4 little jobs done at that one stop. So that was it. It was very productive shopping experience. And the only thing I kind of forgot about was looking for like a cream color or a white for my one design with those two colors, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet with it. I think I have it in my head what I'm going to do, but it's sort of not solidified yet, so I'm gonna wait. And yeah, I think that is it for now. I might wind up some other yarn for another design, which I have and I will grab right now. Okay, this will also be a Ukrainian inspired design, and I'm going to make it in a rectangle like shape, so it could be worn as a wrap, but I'm also thinking it could be like a rushnyuk, which is like a piece of embroidered cloth which you would put like over a table. So I could put it, like lay it on top of my piano. So that's the shape that I've had in my head for this design. And so I've got my little artwork here that it's inspired by. This is also another Ukrainian folk artist who did her artwork majorly in her home. And I've got my pictures with like my thought of what I'm going to do, my little notes on my stitch patterns. And then at one of our yarn swaps in the fall, I think it was, I saw this. This is Barnyard Knits, and it's OOAK, one of a kind colorway. And I thought that this colorway was perfect and like matched sort of what I was seeing in these images. And then I got this blue and orange. And this blue and orange is from Redbeard Yarn, a local yarn dyer to me. So this is how it's going to be, which is totally like the blue and orange, so different from what I usually work with. But there's so much blue and there's a little bit of orange in here, and we pulled from the blue that's in this skein, although we went like much brighter. So I'm thinking I might put that on the needles as well. I'm just not sure. So that is also what I'm going to work on. And I have to go wind a whole bunch of yarn now. I might do it in stages and just do a couple, wind up a couple skeins at a time, because there's a lot to do with those 3 skeins. And then I've got this one, which is 4, and then I have 10 skeins for this sweater. So I will have to wind all that up in stages, but I have so much to work on that there's no shortage of projects. But yeah, that is what is happening right now. And I just have to pick one thing at a time to work on to sort it out. The only thing that will kind of be ongoing is this granny square cardigan, because you can't really do anything until you have all the granny squares made. So that will just be like a plug away at it one at a time, or a little bit at a time project. But everything else I want to get sort of sorted and organized this week so that I can work on it over the summer. But that is all I have to update you on, and I will be back in 2 weeks, hopefully with some more projects. Oh, and poor Anne. The back of this photo frame is giving out and she's falling over. So Anne will be upright. She's not drunk on raspberry cordial. She just needs some fixing. But I will see you in a couple of weeks, hopefully with some updated progress on some of these projects and maybe a bit of a game plan for what I'm going to do for the rest of the summer.